Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
That's what's beautiful. Okay, we're good. All right, so welcome. And so what we're doing tonight also, we just decided to have some fun because we're going to go open lines tonight. So we're feeding out on to YouTube as well. So that feed is out there live as well as everything else, of course. And there you go. Okay, so it's open lines all night long, 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. We will open up the phone lines here in a bit. We've got Jon Rappoport here and his No More Fake Newsroom. Everything is a go tonight. Lots of stuff to talk about. Of course, we have Tom Delonge, Blink-182 frontman, who did his live stream yesterday from Seattle, announcing the To the Stars Academy, a public corporation that he has offered shares for sale. And there you go. Now, he brought everybody up on stage yesterday. You had Department of Defense. You had Skunk Works up there. You had CIA. You had, of course, Hal Puthoff up there, too, as well. So you have the whole ESP side of things, too, as well. Remote viewing, all of that. And disclosure of this incident with the Nimitz aircraft carrier in 2004 off the coast of San Diego with an extraordinary sighting and video that was shot. And the video shows exactly what they described. They called the UFO looking like a 50-foot tic-tac. So today I chased down all of the information about this case. I'm not going to say anything more. I did some in the bunker cam. Everybody just kind of chill on that. But I'm going to move forward with this. There's something going on with this case. It's documented. It's a U.S. Navy case. Video was shot. Video was leaked, actually, too, as well. And if you haven't seen the image, I'll post it up during the break, and I'll get that up there going very soon. Okay, so now let's just get this show launched really quick. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Our podcast, we have over 730 archive shows. Go over to the website, jimmychurchradio.com. Click on the podcast, $2 a month. Over 730 archive shows, $2 a month. There isn't anything like this in the entire world. Okay, $2 a month. We would do it for free if we could. It's very simple. All platforms, the best software, all the apps, everything that you need, go and do it right now. Okay, or you can become an official Fadernight, and if you would like to do that, go to our membership section over at the site where you get the bunker cam every single night of the week. You're going to get commercial-free downloadable archives. You can get the Game Changer. You can get T-shirts and autographed hats and all kinds of stuff. I was looking around for a hat here in the bunker. I don't see one. And so you do all of that over in the membership area. That's how this show happens for free every single night live with the best guest out there. Seriously, the best and the brightest, only here on Fade to Black. Don't forget to check out all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea. Check this out. Man, just got me some Coral Sea from Life Change Tea. I got G.I. Joy from Life Change Tea. I got full refills. Look at this. Look at this. Full refills of all the moringa, pine bark, olive, everything that I need is right there, man. I love the drops. I love the taste of it. Reminds me of Flintstone vitamins. Man, Absolutely love that stuff. Okay, so there you go. Life Change Tea, getthetea.com, River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend, of course, our coffee, the best. New Pharma, GNU Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls. Sacred Skulls. There's mine. There's my Sacred Skull. It opens with a key. See, so on the back of this, it's got its own little key. That's what the key looks like. That goes in the bottom, and this opens up. Yeah, so you can get stuff through TSA when you're flying, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Sacred Skulls, right there. Just mention Jimmy when you order. 15% off of your order. Get your own Sacred Skull. And, of course, Bearing Optics. Night vision. That's one of our favorite things to do, is to go out there and sky watch and see what's out there in the friendly skies above us. Bearing Optics, that is what we use. And there you go. So all you have to do is mention Jimmy when you order, and you get yourself a discount too as well. The finest night vision in the world, military grade. Go check it out, bearingoptics.com. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Hugh Jackman is 49. Yeah, and you might think I'm saying happy birthday to Hugh because of Wolverine. No, not quite. It's the movie Swordfish. Happy birthday, Hugh Jackman. Our dead guy's birthday today, Luciano Pavarotti, 1935 to 2007, died at the age of 71. But check this out. Of course, he crossed over to popular music. He was an operatic tenor, all of that stuff. Get it, commercially successful. He died of pancreatic cancer on September 6th, back in 2007. He left an estate. Are you ready? $475 million. Yeah. Like twice what David Bowie was worth. Now, he had 2 wills that he filled out and signed in the same month, but the family kept it out of court. They settled. They got it all worked out. Luciano Pavarotti, happy birthday. Now, on this day in history, OTD, 1964, Soviet Union launches Vashkod-1 into orbit around the Earth with 3 cosmonauts aboard. Vashkod-1 was the first spacecraft to carry a multi-person crew, and the 2-day mission was also the first flight. Are you ready? In 1964, are you ready? They did it in street clothes. The dudes didn't wear spacesuits. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not, no. I get my spacesuit. If I got to jump out and re-enter Earth's atmosphere, maybe burn up, you know what? I'm wearing a space. I am not. Can you imagine that? Street clothes, button-down shirts. The Soviets were out of control, but that actually happened. Fader fact: 1 in 100 Americans work at Walmart. Now think about that. You're walking down the street. You're walking down the street, and you just look in front of you. Somebody works at Walmart. Turn around. Somebody in back of you works at Walmart. Nothing wrong with it. It's just crazy how big that company is. Tonight's another Fader Night with Jon Rappoport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. The call-in numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Now, let me talk to you for a minute as I sip my River Moon coffee. Over the last year, the mainstream media, all of it, has been covering Russian influence in social media and fake news. It's all we read about, man. It's just everywhere. What they don't cover is our own government's control and influence at every level, not only in the mainstream media, but all social media networks. Now listen to me for a second. Here's some recent history. On July 2nd, 2013, the United States Congress silently legalized the use of American propaganda on the American people. Until then, there had been something known as the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which prevented the government from broadcasting its propaganda aimed at foreigners within the United States itself. Remember, Radio Liberty, Radio Free Europe, right? A bipartisan amendment to the 2013 Defense Authorization Bill undid that. And so the ban on dissemination of propaganda produced by the United States government and the Broadcasting Board of Governors was no more. What's interesting about this is that the very people in Congress who are complaining right now, night and day, about the gnarly influence of Russian propaganda actually don't have a problem with American citizens being targeted with fake news and propaganda at all. They don't have a problem with that. Just so long as it's coming from their own government, that's the way that they look at it. What's more, since this amendment was tucked into a defense authorization bill with relatively little fuss being made, one must assume that journalists charged with disseminating the real news aren't really too bothered by it either. That's the way that it appears, because nobody out there, no journalists, no news organizations want to talk about this. It is now legal to say whatever to American citizens, if it's true or not. It can be 100% made up, and it's now legal here in the United States. So now you don't know what the truth is. And we have Trump, and that's fine. We have Trump crying about fake news. The military is creating fake news every single day. Now, it doesn't matter who's in office. This was an Obama thing. Okay? This was an Obama thing. You would think that maybe Trump or some journalist out there would bring this up and say, this Obama measure from 2013 that was snuck in on a defense bill, which now allows propaganda to be pumped into American heads, that is legal. We need to back off on that. If you are really outspoken about fake news, then let's see you do something about it right now with your own cabinet, your own military. Right? The coverage, now listen to this. The coverage that it did receive was amusing, in that journalists appeared to be completely fine with pro-government propaganda, passing it around through mass media outlets and through foreign audiences. They're okay with that, which is precisely what they accuse Russia of doing, and which they pretend to find heinous. I just love that word. Think about this for a second, and you just can't have it both ways. I've talked about it enough on this show. One concerned Pentagon official, by the way, said it gave the government sweeping powers to push propaganda on the American people with no oversight. He worried that the government would circulate information domestically that is entirely false, which they are doing. Well, that's not exactly a shocker, to anybody that listens to this show, if you think about it. And if you've ever watched a White House or State Department press briefing, it's interesting that you know that they are a source for this information. You know this. Now, this is the thing. Given some recent reportage on the Russian influence in the U.S., which I have talked about a lot on this show, it's pretty clear that many American journalists either don't care or are completely blind to the role of their own government that they play in the politics of foreign nations. We do it every single day. Now, I've been talking about the flat earth. I've been talking about RT and RT's release of that 360-degree video, and the flat earthers out there want to talk about this conspiracy that everybody is in on. Not only the Russian space program and Russian universities and Russian politicians, they're in cahoots with everybody over here in the United States, and we're distributing videos of a round earth when it's really a flat earth, and we're in on this together. When it turns out that we want to, right now, throw RT out of the United States, and that's exactly what is going on right now. And Russia wants to throw the American media now out of Russia. They want to start to throw that down too as well as Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty. If you think about this, the cooperation that is supposed to be out there does not exist. And I talked about that reality the other day on the show. But this is where it gets interesting. In 1977, Carl Bernstein wrote that 400 American journalists over the past 25 years had secretly carried out assignments for the CIA. That's right, Project Mockingbird. I talk about Project Mockingbird nearly every single day on this show. It comes up with a guest, with myself. Now, Project Mockingbird, a Cold War project where the CIA supported journalists at major news publications as part of a propaganda war against the Soviet Union. One CIA operative told the Washington Post that you could get a journalist cheaper than a call girl. You could get a journalist for a couple $100 a month. Now, Bernstein said there was 400. The reports now, it was actually in the thousands. And it could have been not only in television and radio, but certainly in print media with magazines and newspapers. It exists today, right now. If you think about this, it's worth remembering that all of these self-righteous organizations today that call themselves mass media, that are crying about being accused of fake news, and that they just want to, remain under the First Amendment and the right of free speech and the freedom of the press. Okay, that is all fine. But when you are distributing information that was given to you that you know is factually not true, but you are distributing it anyway, think about that. And you can't have it both ways. Neither can the American public. The American public wants it both ways. Russia is doing the very same thing. So is everybody else. We don't know who to trust. Now, it goes a little bit further. Let's go to today. All right, we know that Project Mockingbird was real, and we know that it exists under many other names today. But now we have the internet. Now we have YouTube. Now we have social media, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Everybody has got an app now. Every media outlet, every television channel, you have a la carte TV, internet, everything, TVs on your refrigerators. That's the way the world is now. Project Mockingbird and this kind of situation that we find ourselves in today is a perfect vehicle to get the propaganda going on both sides of the fence. Any consumer of American news will be aware that journalists are up in arms right now about those Russian government paid ads on Facebook, bots on Twitter to influence American electorate. We're all being bombed with this all day long. But that was before the election. And here we are after the election, and it hasn't slowed down, right? Where was all the outrage back in 2011 when it was revealed that the U.S. military was developing software that would allow it to secretly manipulate social media platforms using fake personas to influence internet conversation and spread pro-American propaganda? Sock puppets. Sock puppets are all over the place now. They are everywhere, used by other governments, private companies, non-government organizations, NGOs. The U.S. military enlisted the services of a California corporation to create the fake online personas. Under the contract, one serviceman or woman will be able to control up to 10 different fake identities worldwide. Identities which would need to have their own convincing backgrounds and profiles. Right? That's how they do it. Of course, CENTCOM and the United States government explain all of this away, promising that they only use these programs to counter violent and extremist enemy propaganda. But is there anyone naive enough to believe that truly that's all a sock puppet does? Come on. I can guarantee anybody watching me right now on YouTube, anybody in the membership area, anybody on iHeart, anybody on Spreaker, any TuneIn, just TalkStream Live, and any of KGRA right now, anybody listening to me that was on social media today was looking at a sock puppet. I guarantee it. You probably didn't even know. And if you were engaging in a conversation, you may have engaged in a conversation with a sock puppet. I guarantee it. No matter what page on social media you were today, there was a sock puppet there. In 2009, during anti-government protest in Iran, right, the United States State Department asked Twitter to reschedule maintenance work so that Iranian protesters could continue to use the social media platform to get the word out about their movement. Now, in 2015, the British Army created a special force of Facebook warriors, right? who were skilled in psychological operations and social media to engage in unconventional warfare. I talked about it 2 years ago on the show when it happened. Today, we have the Don't Shoot Us campaign, which everyone thought, including myself, that it was an organization started right here in the United States. Nice logo, got looks like a Colt 45, and they were everywhere. And not only, well, this is the point. The Don't Shoot Us campaign was and is a Russian creation. All of it. The Don't Shoot Us site, their site, YouTube, all of their social media pages, all of it Russian. You just don't know. In the old days, for Russia to broadcast something here in the United States, it would have to be broadcast through the airwaves. Okay? Today we have the internet. You don't know where anything is sourced from. So you're looking at the Don't Shoot Us campaign. What's you know, Black Lives Matter, and we were going through some stuff in Ferguson and St. Louis and everywhere, Florida and South Carolina, it's crazy, Chicago, Baltimore. Things were going on. So the Don't Shoot Us campaign had merit, right? But this is the deal. It was all Russian. And that's a perfect example of propaganda influencing us here. They were trying to influence our social feelings about racism and gun control. And they did it quite effectively. Nobody knew. Think about that for a second. So, if that can go on with Russia, forget about the elections, forget about the Facebook ads, forget about emails and hacking, and which it all happened, but forget about all of that. I'm talking about the stuff that you just had no idea. It looked honest, it looked American, it felt American, and it wasn't. And we are doing the same thing in Russia. And that's the day that we live in today. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. And the thing is, when we're dealing with all of these types of subjects, I want to say this one more time. You just never know. You don't know. You don't. Whether it's our government, another government, you just don't know today. The Ministry of Truth, man. 1984. And speaking of that, coming up next, Jon Rappoport and his No More Fake Newsroom live. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black, Fadernight, Thursday night. Open lines all night long. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA. The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
And now, coming to you from the No More Fake Newsroom in deep space, which is the space that we suspect to be true, that the world as it is fed to us every single day by the Ministry of Truth is a lie, a false reality, a movie projected on the screen of our subconscious. This, however, is the breakout. All the screens crash, they all go down, and we see the light of day. A new day. No more robots, no more androids. It's the No More Fake Newsroom with Jon Rappoport. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. Good to be here, folks, as always. Vegas. I'm going to update my reports from last week because this is a story that just won't go away. And then perhaps at the end I'll have a few remarks about Tom DeLonge's announcement. But first, let's go back to Vegas. The sheriff's story, the FBI story, the MGM corporate story seems to be diverging, and there seems to be some internal conflict here. That's always a clue that something is not what it seems. The Las Vegas sheriff walked right to the edge of saying that the accused shooter, Stephen Paddock, had help. He sort of asked it as a question, well, doesn't it make sense, or wouldn't you think, or it seems like with all that planning, all those weapons, all that ammunition, that the man had some kind of help. We're looking into that now. Of course, previously, the Sheriff's Department had said, we're sure there's only one shooter. And they're sticking to that story. So apparently is the FBI. But yet, since I spoke with you last, we have more reports from more witnesses, more people on the scene, including some at the concert itself, who say there were other shooters. We have at least one or two witnesses at the concert who say there was another shooter on the ground killing people. But of course, all that is being ignored in the statements by law enforcement. How they can do this stretches credulity to say the least. Well, we've eliminated all the possibility that there's any other shooters, and there's just this shooter, and that's the only one, and we're quite sure of that. Really? So how do you square that with witness statements? Well, the witnesses are wrong. It's pretty simple when you just do it that way. You can make any story go away if you are in that position of power. Well, GMOs are completely safe. We know that. Global warming science is settled. We know that. Vaccines are incomparably safe and effective. We just know that. Anybody who says different is crazy. It's pretty simple to do that when you're in a position of power. But fortunately, millions and hundreds of millions more people are recognizing that that is not an adequate defense. Okay. Number 2. The Sheriff's Department has changed the story, their story, in one significant respect. And that is, we heard stories about Paddock in his hotel suite at the Mandalay Hotel shooting a security guard in the corridor outside his room. That story has now been updated by the Las Vegas police and sheriff in the following way. They are now saying that Paddock shot the security guard in the leg through his door, through the hotel door, with 200 rounds, and that he shot the security guard in the leg 6 minutes before he, Paddock, began firing at the crowd at the concert. Previously, the story was that he shot the security guard in the leg after he was finished shooting at the concert. So now the story gets very strange indeed. Again, stretching our ability to believe. So we are supposed to believe that a security guard who was upstairs on the 32nd floor walking down the corridor, who had a complaint about a door being left open in a room on that floor, not Paddock's door, had no alert about Paddock, no suspicion of anything that Paddock was doing in his suite, walked by the room and Paddock opened fire on him because Paddock supposedly had installed a couple of cameras and saw the security guard in the hall. Now, one version of the story is that Paddock was drilling some kind of a hole in the wall in his room, didn't finish doing it, for a purpose that is not yet understood, and that the security guard heard the sound of the drilling. Okay, we don't know if that's so or not, but even so, firing 200 rounds through the hotel suite door at the security guard? I mean, Paddock doesn't think that this is going to cause a problem for him before he even starts shooting at the concert goers? Let's even suppose that he had a silenced weapon. Still, 200 rounds? And he thinks, Paddock thinks, that this will not be a problem. And then after that, Paddock, still in his suite, waits 6 minutes before opening fire on the concert goers. I mean, come on. There are so many doubts raised by that scenario. So at this point now, the MGM Corporation, which owns the Mandalay Hotel, is now disputing that timeline and saying, we're not sure that's true. Well, maybe. Or maybe they're just trying to cover themselves, because if Paddock shot the security guard before he opened fire on the concert, that would imply that there was some unconscionable delay or absence of hotel security on the 32nd floor, and would open up the hotel to numerous lawsuits. Point is, the story, the official story even, is splitting apart now, just falling to pieces in front of our eyes. Point 3. This is now a breaking story as of today, reported on by Paul Watson. Workers at the concert after the shooting had their cell phones and laptops taken by the FBI. And then, when they were returned, they were wiped clean of any footage that was shot by these concert workers. You understand what that means? Certainly the FBI could have examined whatever footage existed on these cell phones and laptops, made copies for their analysis, and then returned the devices to their owners with the footage there. I mean, why not? Do you not own the property, so to speak, of footage that you shoot? And aside from that, why would they wipe all that clean? Well, the obvious comeback is because there was something on this footage that the FBI did not want to get out to the public. There was contradictory evidence on the footage, contradictory to the official story. For example, that there was only one shooter, and that shooter was Stephen Paddock. This is a big development in the story. Now, if there is some law enforcement policy that says that they wipe these phones and laptops during an investigation, so what? Why would there be such a policy? Because law enforcement believes that they own all the evidence that might be relevant to an investigation, even if it doesn't come from them, if it comes from the public. That's ridiculous. So again, the obvious conclusion is there was something on these laptops and cell phones in the way of footage or witness testimony that contradicts the official story. Either there's evidence of other shooters, or there's evidence that shots were fired from some other place other than this 32nd floor of the Mandalay Hotel, where Paddock had his room. Either case, it's evidence of other shooters. So that is quite fantastic. Now, this week I also posted a long piece at No More Fake News saying why you shouldn't believe anything the FBI says about the Vegas shooting. And I won't run down all the reasons, except to say that I quoted mainstream articles in 2014 and 15 that indicated that thousands of cases that the FBI had handled, criminal cases, would now have to come under review because lab technicians at the FBI evidence lab and people who were testifying in court cases on behalf of the FBI lab were giving wrong evidence based on incorrect lab analysis or even intentionally incorrect lab evidence, which suggests that evidence was cooked in order to gain prosecutions. Thousands of cases. And I believe the time period was something like a dozen years. On top of that, and I've alluded to this before, in the Oklahoma City bombing case of 1995, in 1997, articles appeared in the mainstream press, big outlets, which revealed the fact that the FBI evidence lab assumed, mind you, that the explosion that destroyed a third of the federal building in Oklahoma City came from a bomb in a Ryder truck parked at the curb outside the building. That this was not a conclusion that was reached by lab analysis, but it was reached in the FBI evidence lab simply because of reports from the field by FBI agents, and then evidence was interpreted in the lab, forensic evidence, to go along with that presumption that what blew up the federal building was a bomb in a Ryder truck at the curb. That is astounding. And there was even in these big-time mainstream press reports a name, David Williams, as being the main culprit in this operation at the FBI evidence lab. So whatever the FBI says about evidence in the Vegas shooting, what types of weapons were in the room, what type of weapon or weapons were used in the shooting, what bullets were fired from the gun or guns, what bullets were found in victims, very important, and what the trajectory or the wound, the angle of wound entry was in these victims, because that gives factual evidence about where the shots actually came from. All of that and more would be interpreted out of the FBI evidence lab. You have no reason, based on what I've just said, and you could read more extensively in my article, to believe anything that the FBI is saying in the Vegas shooting case. No reason at all to assume it's true. And finally, we have the situation of the so-called bump stock revelation. This is something I had to learn about because I'd never heard of it before. But according to law enforcement, the accused shooter, Stephen Paddock, had 12 weapons in his hotel suite that had been outfitted with what's called bump stocks. These are legal devices which enable a semi-automatic weapon to simulate an automatic weapon. It's a kind of an upgrade that is purchased separately from the weapon and then installed in the weapon. Now, there is some debate about what I'm about to say, but from the people that I have consulted with and read about, there seems to be a unanimity of opinion that these bump stock devices make the weapon's accuracy far less. Far less. If you want to be accurate, you do not use that device. Now, the concert was about 400 yards away from the Mandalay Bay Hotel. So keep all that in mind as I give you one more factoid here, or at least what we're being told. There was a note left in Paddock's hotel suite, and now we are told that there were numbers on the note, and what it really was Paddock making calculations about distance and trajectory and so forth when he would start firing at the concert. So we assume, in other words, that he is more than just a total amateur, that he is working out some kind of arithmetic, mathematics, trigonometry, whatever, to increase or make sure that what he's doing with these weapons is going to achieve the horrendous result that he intends. But at the same time, we're supposed to believe that this very same shooter outfits 12 weapons with devices that will considerably reduce the accuracy of the weapons he's using. In what universe does that add up? So, the story is still wide open as to what happened in Vegas. There are even more reports, which are apparently being totally ignored by mainstream press and law enforcement, at least out in the open, that there were shots fired in 2, perhaps 3 other hotels in Vegas on the night of the concert shooting. Also, obviously suggesting multiple shooters, coordination, planning, purpose. So the story is still percolating, red hot, wide open. The official scenario has crumbled 2 or 3 times. There is definitely a cover-up going on at the level of law enforcement. And from what I have seen and looked at so far, it seems to be that the primary thing that the cover-up is intended to do is to conceal the fact that there were multiple shooters. And whether Paddock was one of them or whether he was a patsy, who knows? But covering up multiple shooters, as I just said, is vital for law enforcement if they want to avoid having to reveal that there was planning, cooperation, conspiracy, purpose, most likely political, and that this event, in terms of what it means, is completely different from what we're being told. And that's my report for tonight. I want to just talk with Jimmy for a few minutes. I haven't had much time to look into Tom DeLonge's latest statement, but the first thing I wanted to ask Jimmy is, do you think that in the upcoming investigation or revelation about UFOs that DeLonge intends, that there is going to be any sort of competition with Dr. Stephen Greer, or do you think these people are going to be at loggerheads? Yeah, that's come up quite a bit lately, John, and that's a really good, honest observation, because on the surface, it would appear that it's nearly the same attempt at disclosure, right? Government insiders, CIA, what have you, whistleblowers, right? To push this agenda forward. What is different, I think that it's completely the opposite. Greer's approach was to force the hands of Washington with
with bringing these guys forward at a press conference with Congress, senators and what have you, to have this testimony presented to them, and then turn around and present through documents and whistleblower testimony that's on videotape and present that to the public. And then he's made a couple of films. So that's his thing, the Sirius and the Disclosure Project. What Tom wants to do is he wants to be a manufacturer. He wants to be a laboratory. He wants to be a school. And so this is a public corporation with an SEC filing selling shares in the company to fund this research, to fund the design and implement the technology, whether it's alien technology or anti-gravity technology, and actually bring this stuff out for the world for use. So that's that. And then he's got an entertainment division for books, music, and film to also present this technology and move it forward. So a totally different approach. Now, the other side that for Tom that hasn't been done before is we are talking about, one of these guys didn't leave his post until 5 or 6 days ago. Right? Now that's pretty dramatic. And to have the guy that was running Skunk Works, who just recently retired, Skunk Works, right? Now these are really big deals. These are some pretty heavy cats. And then of course, John Podesta.
Yeah. Now that's I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. Now.
Yeah, Podesta. I mean.
Yeah.
Trust John Podesta.
I know, right? But see, this is the thing. This is whatever we think about John Podesta. Okay, his name has been muddied enough, and I get that, and there's reasons to raise those question marks. But the facts are, when it comes to ufology, he was pushing that agenda within the Clinton administration and the Obama administration, and he did produce that famous tweet last year, which was the one thing that I regret was not pushing this UFO agenda forward. Now, so that, and before his name got all muddied this year, last year in ufology, Podesta was the golden boy, right? Mm-hmm. He could do no wrong in ufology. And then all of this stuff came out, not only with the emails and WikiLeaks, but then the whole Pizzagate, made up stuff there. So there was that. And if you're going to attack somebody, you really want to muddy somebody's name, throw child sex, pedophilia, throw that label on somebody and let him spend the rest of his life fighting that, whether it's true or not. And that's it's a weird situation that also in this press conference yesterday, John, Podesta wasn't on the stage. Right. So I thought that was pretty interesting. He was tweeting about this. He tweeted it out yesterday, but he wasn't on the stage. So is DeLonge aware of that? I mean, of course he's aware of it. He was part of the WikiLeaks email dump himself. He knows that. Right. But did he deliberately keep Podesta off the stage because he didn't want any, backwash? I don't know.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. And this is the other thing, before I let you go. You would have thought that this press live stream that he did yesterday, DeLonge, that it would have made the mainstream news, and it did not. It got absolute zero coverage. Leslie Kane, HuffPost, okay, article there. But as far as everything else, nope. It was an empty room and no coverage anywhere. And that I found that really interesting. So why? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he's Blink 182. So you would have thought Rolling Stone magazine at the very least, right? MTV, somebody would have gave him some coverage, but nobody did. John, thank you so much, man, for everything that you do. You're the bright light on my Thursday night here on Fade to Black. Just thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Jimmy, as always.
Everybody, start your day. NoMoreFakeNews.com. All right. It's Thursday night. It is Fadernight. I'm opening up the phone lines now. Open lines all night long. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly Ancient Life Oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go back, Lee Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product. What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thursday night, Fader Nights. Open lines from here on out all night long. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. This portion of the show is brought to you by GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea. There you go. Just use the promo code FADER. Go to the website, click on GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea. The banners are right there. And promo code is FADER, F-A-D-E-R. You will get yourself some free shipping. Go to the specials page. That's what I do. They've always got some great specials up there. It's one of the great companies out there. But I highly recommend, if you do what I do, right? I do the super strength tea every single day. And I like the drops. I like the pine bark. I like the moringa. I like the vitamin C. and I have backups of everything here at the studio, man. I do these drops all day long. They're the best. Okay, Life Change Tea, getthetea.com. Now, I wanted to announce the winner of the VIP ticket for the Awareness Life Expo conference this weekend is IPD, Idea Petri Dish. That's right. He's on his way there now. And there you go. He wrote us and said, I want those tickets when we didn't get a caller in last week for it. And I said, you know what? I'll pull the trigger. You've got yourself the VIP ticket. So he is on his way to the conference now. And IPD, you have a good time. Okay? All right. Now, with that, it's Thursday night. It is Fadernight. I've got lots of calls on hold. Let's go straight to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Jimmy, this is Cliff in Houston.
Hey, Cliff in Houston. How are you?
Fine. Hey, let me run this by you 1 second. Listening to everything that everybody's had to say, I've kind of come up with my own idea. And my idea is this.
On what, Cliff?
On the shooting in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, I got you.
There you go. ISIS said that they did the shooting, but we say they didn't. What if they did do the shooting, and they don't want to give them credit for it, because then it would give President Trump more ammunition to tighten up the border on immigration? So what they do is they turn around and they blame some average Joe. This guy no more did it than you did it. I mean, This guy's he wasn't capable of it. This was a whole laid out thing. And as far as the FBI moving in right away and confiscating everybody's cell phones,
right?
What makes everybody think it was really the FBI and not some cleanup crew?
Well, a
cleanup crew from a government agency.
Right. And my first my answer to the first part of your question is this. Because this has been a boondoggle from the very beginning, very beginning, pretty much, Cliff, I think anybody that puts their thought to it and comes up with a theory and puts it on the table is just as valid as the next person. And so is your little scenario here possible? Absolutely it is. Now, if I was going to counter that with a thought, though, if I was going to counter it, I'd counter it this way.
Okay.
Wouldn't it would seem to me that the administration would want to say that ISIS was involved, right? That they would want that, because then it continues the war on terror. It would allow the tightening of things here in the United States. It would counter anybody else's argument about this, and let's really scare the crap out of the American public and talk about, ISIS recruited 64-year-old white dudes with automatic weapons running amok in America. That would scare the crap out of it. Would scare me, right? So I just don't know. I do agree with this though. When ISIS first jumped on this, and they were claimed that he had converted to Islam. Can you roll up your window or whatever is going on in the background there, Cliff?
Yes, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all of that stuff is really loud across the airwaves. You got to remember that. Okay, now, when ISIS jumps on anything that happens, it helps them recruit, it furthers their agenda, and it keeps ISIS in the public eye. So, of course, whether ISIS was involved or not, they are going to claim this. Saying that he converted to Islam 3 months prior to the shooting, that's a pretty bold statement. We need some proof of that somewhere. I would have thought that not the FBI, forget that. I'm talking about the average Joe guy can go and search social media and look at this guy's name to see if he had been posting anything anywhere, right? Some pro radical Islam ISIS stuff, and there wasn't anything out there. I mean, I looked.
No.
Right? So, so maybe ISIS was just BSing there. But like I said, what a great thing if the administration needed to, have the authority to push the agenda forward in this anti-terror campaign, there's the perfect agenda for that. Now, I'm not saying, and I said this the day after the shooting on the air, that ISIS and the Philippines is an out-of-control situation over there. Okay, they're taking over towns, cities, islands. That's a real war on terror that they're facing over there in the Philippines. And he's got a Filipino girlfriend, right? Roommate. Well, there's a direct connection. Yeah. So I just stepped back, Cliff, and went, well, that's certainly possible. That's interesting. So we do need to take a look at this, but nobody out there has been able to bring anything forward. I'm not talking about the FBI. I'm not talking about the police. I'm just talking about everybody else out there that has the ability to search and go and check things out on the internet. And everybody was doing just that. You were, I was, and I was looking for a link. I just couldn't find anything.
I just don't think the average Joe Blow would do something like that. This guy had everything to live for. He had tons of money. He had a nice girlfriend. He had no worries. Why the hell would he do something like that? Then he turns around and kills himself, or they shoot him, or whatever. I just can't buy it.
Yeah, now see,
he's got to be a patsy.
See, Cliff, now you're thinking correctly. All right, that's that you need to have that train of thought here. If we're gonna go into a zone, the zone I want to go into is he was not in control of himself. Could something else, a trigger word, a trigger thing, trigger situation, could that be it? Could somebody have paid him to do that? Did he arrive at that hotel and the guns were already there? Right? Did he have help? Did somebody, I often wonder. Now he had a lot of weapons in that room, and I got email from people and showing me, different ways that guns can be hidden in luggage, and I got tons of that stuff, man. Tons of it was it was freaking me out. If you want to know the truth, I'm thinking, man, the people that listen to this show are packing, right? So anyway, that's a lot of weapons. And I had raised the question about how did one guy get those all upstairs without any help? Well, what if he had help? Did he ship them to the hotel and had them delivered to his room? Did you know what I mean? You can do that. I've done it. I've shipped stuff to hotels in advance. I've done that a lot. And you just open up your hotel room and the boxes are sitting right there, right on the there's so many different avenues that we can go down with this, but they all can fit. And the reason why they all can fit is because we're not being told the truth. I don't think the police know really what's going on. I don't think the FBI knows what's going on. This whole timeline situation, when they announced that yesterday that John was just talking about, when they brought that up and said, hey, he was the security guard was shot at 9:59 before 10 o'clock. He wasn't shot at 10:06. He didn't interrupt the shooting. He didn't hear the shoot. I was like, wait, how can you screw that up? How, get your lies straight. But if this was what it's supposed to be, Cliff, which is a lone gunman shooting out of a hotel room with video cameras on the ground, cell phone cameras, video cameras in the hallways, all of this timeline of event, 911 calls, security guards on the ground, the Las Vegas Police Department out there on the Strip, right? They cannot. A concert is going on across the street that is being videotaped with 20, 30,000 people at that concert. You know how many the video production crew that is there, and the staff and the staging and the stage managers and everything else that is going on. You telling me that they don't have a timeline of where everything started and stopped? They do. So how can you turn around and screw all of that up? So they are lying. They're lying. We're being lied to about this.
This is nothing more than a giant razzle-dazzle. It's all it is.
And
we're never going to know the truth.
And
Never.
You know what, Cliff? You know where this is, and I've said this, and I'll say it again. This is not September 11th, 2001. This country,
right.
The people, the citizens of this country now is well rehearsed in how to deal with something like this and how to sniff out something, right? And this is 2017, man, and I really mean this. This event going down, if they didn't tell us the truth and be honest straight out of the gate, they were going to get caught. They were going to get caught. And I'm talking about the law enforcement, the federal agencies that are involved, everybody that is investigating this. You better be forthwith. You better be straight because you are going to get caught. And you know what? They have been caught. You can't turn around and change the timeline of the events like this. The security guard said he got shot in the hallway and had interrupted the shooting. Now they're saying he was shot at 9:59, 7 minutes before the shooting even started. He was a hero, right? He interrupted the shooting. He alerted everybody to the room. He was the hero, and now he is not. You know, and they said a couple of things, too, by the way. I'll go on the record right now, Cliff. They said he was up there investigating a smoke alarm, right, that had gone off. Now they're saying he was sent up there to check a door that was left open. Wait, you know what? Just stop. That he went up there and interrupted the shooting, and he was a hero, got shot through the... Man, as it turns out, everything that they said was not true. And they didn't know this? You know, were they being lied to by the security guard? You know, and they couldn't figure this out. But they went forward and gave us this information anyway. You know what that does, Cliff? That causes us to back up and go, you're lying to us. You're lying to us. What is really going on?
I completely agree with that.
Yes, absolutely.
But the bottom line is, we're not going to know. They're never going to come forward and say, this was BS, this was BS, this is what really happened.
Cliff, that's why we got you. Okay, don't forget that. All right? I'll see you next week on the show.
Jimmy, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Cliff. Man, Cliff is out there driving around town in his car. And thank you, Cliff. Great phone call. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep it going. And let's go with the train man, K28K. What's up, man?
Hi, Jimmy. Long time no hear.
Yeah, how are you? Everything good?
Everything's fine.
Where are you these days?
Well, I'm home in Porter Ranch.
Okay, because you've been posting these pictures from all over the United States. I don't think you've been home for 6 months.
Well, I went to see the eclipse, and then they started touring around the 6 national parks. So.
Well, there you go. So what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I haven't told you about my eclipse experience.
What?
I know it's been 2 months, but it took a while to get in touch.
So what happened?
Well, of course, I went to Idaho, and I was right in the middle of totality. And just like other people have said, it got dark, the wind started kicking up, it got cold, and then all of a sudden the sun winked out, and then the corona came out, and you can see the Bailey beads when it first entered, and it lasted about a minute and 40 seconds. Right. And then the Bailey beads came back again, and the sun gradually came back out, and then it started getting hot again. But it was an amazing experience, and my whole family was there, and like 15 of us, and even the little kids, we had to force them to keep their glasses on the whole time because we didn't want to take a chance, right?
Yeah, of course, Anything metaphysical happened? Did you transport to another universe?
I thought I heard some train whistles, but I said, no, that can't be it. That's too old of a whistle.
All right, there you go. We experienced all of that too as well. The cooling, and that was pretty weird, and how the colors shifted because without the rays of the sun to illuminate all of the colors around you, when that disappears, and it doesn't look like it does when it's at night. Colors, to me, it looked like everything was almost like a sepia tone picture from like 1890. everything went kind of orange and yellow and gray and black. It was really, really trippy to go through. Had a lot of fun doing it, though.
I actually went across the street to watch the shadow come across because I could see it in the distance, like a big column, and a big column of blackness just overwhelmed us. And then the street lights came on, and then you had this 360 degrees of twilight. So you could actually see the edge of the moon all the way around you in the distance. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty. You know what? The next time around, when's it going down again? 2024, 2022?
Yeah, 24, and you can see it in Houston.
Yeah, we're going.
That area. So,
100%. We're going to be there.
I'm going to go again, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Kay, you keep cutting out, my brother. So I'm going to let you go for now, and we'll see you Monday on the show. Thank you so much, my friend.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good show.
Yeah, thank you, Kay. K28, everybody. Yeah, man, the eclipse was a special thing to go through. And so with that, let's go right back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Ryan from Prescott Valley, Arizona.
Hey, Ryan. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing, Jimmy?
It's Thursday night, man. Fadernight.
Yes, I know, and I'm so excited for tomorrow, too. I'm going to go to that Awareness Life Expo.
Oh, you're going?
I just can't wait for that.
Okay, so you're going to go first thing in the morning and get your free Fadernight tickets, man, for the whole weekend, right?
Yes, actually, that Thursday night that Javier talked to you, I went there that next Friday morning thinking it was that morning, so I'm sitting around waiting, and I emailed Javier later that day, and he said it's the morning of the event. So, yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to try to get one of those free tickets.
Oh, man, you will. Don't even sweat it, man. You guys are going to have a good time. I've gotten email and stuff all day today. We're in St. Louis. We're halfway there. We're driving through Houston, right? I've got all the everybody's giving me the updates about traveling across the country. You guys are going to have a great time, and just make sure, Ryan, that everybody has got their Fade to Black shirts on, and you guys take a bunch of pictures and send them to us.
Definitely, I will. I got to get on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter yet, so.
Oh man, you got to you got to join the family, bro.
Yeah, I've been a long time listener. It's just I'm a single dad and I have a daughter and so I usually listen the morning after because that 7 to 10 window is dinner and homework and shower and all that stuff. So
how old's your daughter?
I'm going to start trying to get on.
How old's your daughter?
8 years old.
She's 8? Okay, she's not quite Twitter-fied yet, but she will be in a couple of years.
Not yet. But she loves the show, though.
She listens? What's her name?
Brooklyn.
Hey, Brooklyn. Tell her I said, yo, Brooklyn.
I will.
Okay,
absolutely.
All right. Anything else on your mind tonight, Ryan?
Well, the whole thing going on with Tom DeLonge.
Yes.
I thought it was very interesting. Just one thing that kind of concerns me with him is he's like talking about UFOs as like advanced aerial threat. And we've all heard about this Project Blue Beam false flag that could go on. And I'm just a little concerned that they're trying to make it look like all these beings are all negative, when we all know from many stories and personal experiences that that's not the case.
That's right. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Well, what do you think about his approach, though? Do you think that he's doing it the right way?
Yeah, I do. I'm really interested to see how it goes, and I think making the company public was a really good thing, and three-pronged approach is really good. So I hope it doesn't get muddied by some of the people that are in it. Like John D'Souza was saying last night, those government people could be disinformation agents, or they can be trying to control a partial disclosure. So there's a little concern there, but like you said last night too, the alternative is unacceptable. We need to go forward with this.
Were you a Blink 182 fan?
Absolutely. Yes, I was.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. You watched the presentation yesterday, right?
Yes.
What'd you think when you saw Tom in a suit?
Oh, definitely new. Something new, I thought it was proper, though. He's trying to present this professional thing and make it look real elegant. And So I thought it was right for the occasion.
Man, this is what I was thinking. The message did get to him, by the way, and then I tweeted it out. But this was early in the day during some phone calls. I don't want to say a whole lot. But I was like, dude, you sold out, right? And so, the whole punk rock crowd, where they are anti the man, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And you go and you show up in a suit. Dude, your fans are going to go, dude, you sold out. I think this is what I said, and I know he agrees. I just know that he does. But he should have just rolled out there on a skateboard, right, and just worn his street clothes and just been Tom. Let those guys wear the suits, right? But just be yourself.
Yeah.
He was not comfortable in that suit. He didn't even look good in it. He didn't want to wear it. And I know what he was trying to do, but as a Blink-182 fan and that world, he should have just rolled out on the skateboard with his guitar strapped to his back and his baseball cap on sideways and just stepped up to yo, and just did his thing. He should have just been himself.
Yep.
So,
well, Jimmy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan, and please go have a safe, fun weekend down there at the Awareness Compound, and all the Fadernauts are going to be there. You guys are going to have a great time this weekend. Go have some fun.
Excited.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jimmy. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ryan. Be safe, man. Go have fun.
Okay. Bye.
On his way to the Awareness Life Expo. All right. I'm going to take a break here in just a second. And also, 323-825-5045, 323-275-9695. If you're on hold, stay right there. I will get to everybody after the break. Speaking of the Tom DeLonge situation. So what was mentioned yesterday, I'm going to talk a little bit about this after the break. I got a lot of information here. But they talked about the 2004 Nimitz incident where two F-14s took off. The Nimitz was in San Diego and encountered a UFO. And they called it an AAV, by the way. And they encountered this, and it was being picked up on radar. They were having a hard time locking into it. Well, they did. I've got the full story here. I got all of the details. I've got the pilot's name. I got the wingman's name on both aircraft. A full breakdown of the event, of the incident, and it's pretty extraordinary. I've also got a couple of pictures here too, as well. And I have reached out, by the way, to everybody involved, and so I've just got an email right before the show tonight, and I think I will be able to put some more inside information together by Monday's show. This is something that is pretty dang interesting. I want to say this, and I'm going to say this kindly. This is an official United States Navy incident. It was videotaped. It was logged. The pilots that were there are all speaking out, and I've got it. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hi, I'm Matt Ray for U.S. Gold Bureau. I cover the market daily. No matter how strong it gets or what long-term predictions say, you can count on one thing as certain. There will be another crash. It will affect your assets. And when it happens, wouldn't you rather be 2 weeks or even 2 months ahead of the curve? Well, Wall Street insiders have been quietly converting their assets into gold for the last few years. Now it's your turn. Buying gold and silver is easier than buying stocks with the U.S. Gold Bureau's Investor Guide. It's free, and you learn how to buy precious metals in or out of an IRA or 401k retirement plan. Your investment shipped directly to your home and is 100% insured and guaranteed. You control your investments and shelter them against the stock market, politics, and unknown threats. Act while your dollar is still worth something. Call U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD. U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD, 800-885-GOLD. Call today.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRAradio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's Thursday night, Fadernight. If you're on hold, stay right there. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Talking about Tom DeLonge and his presentation yesterday, and I brought up the punk world, and I'm just watching Twitter, man. You guys are out of control. Immediately, you're like, man, that was college pop punk. Wasn't really punk. Punk is, and then you guys, the DKs, Black Flag, Sex Pistols. And I get all of that. And I just, I said, yeah, you're right, man. They ain't the germs. And the punk world, and I talked about this with Tom when he was on the show with us last. And the punk world is a tough world, man. That's a harsh world. You have to be certified to get into that circle. You can't fake. You can't pose. You cannot do it. And if you waver just a little bit, you're out of the car. I used to hang out. I dabbled in punk and was in the punk circles for a minute in the late 80s. And I was in a band. We were called the Foam Decoys. And, it never did much, but it was a good band and we had a lot of fun. But we used to hang out. And there was a club in Hollywood called Raji's on Hollywood Boulevard. And I'm going to tell you right now, this was Raji's, man, it was a good time. It was a good time. Anyway, but I had long hair, and I looked like one of the big-haired dudes from the Strip, because I was. And I didn't cut my hair off, and I didn't really dress. I would go to Raji's with the guys in the band. We had Pat Mack on bass, famous bass player, man, and we hung out with Tex and the Horseheads, and he played in both bands. And anyway, my point being, I was in the circle, but I would go to Raji's, and I was invisible. Nobody would pay attention to me because I did not. I was posing, and I was in the band, and I was, and I loved the world. I loved the world that we were in. I dug all of it, but it's a harsh world, man. So when I turn around and I say something like that, Tom never went in a mosh pit for reals. I think he would argue that point. I don't know. But there you go. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Debbie.
Hey, Debbie. Which Debbie? You know how many Debbies call this show?
Oh, this is the one that's always calling from Sacramento.
Oh, hi, Deb. How are you?
Good. How you doing tonight, Jimmy?
Well, the question is, were you a punk rocker?
Oh, no, but I definitely watched the Tom Delonge thing like 3 times because I was really trying to internalize as much of it as I could. And here's my take on it. Well, first of all, yeah, he looked totally uncomfortable in that suit. He looked nervous as hell. If I had all those big heads behind me that know a lot more than they're probably telling us they know, I'd be nervous too, especially what he's been through over the last few years and all the high-level people and probably being threatened. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of stuff he says he can't talk about. But here's my theory. Okay, I believe the secret, when I say secret space program exists, I believe there's technology that's been suppressed that definitely exists. I don't necessarily, buy into all the stories about, slave trades on Mars and all of that. But I do believe there's a lot of technology that exists that's been suppressed. So maybe they've finally come to a point that they figured out that we know what's going on, the, secret space program. So what better way to finally let it leak out than to use Tom DeLonge with his company, with these people behind him who may know already how to do the technology. And so this is how they're bringing it out slowly through, science and entertainment and what was the other category?
Science, technology, and entertainment.
Yeah, and technology. So who knows, if these guys are so high up and so secretive, they may already have been involved or know people that have been involved in developing this technology, so they already have the keys in place to roll it out. Maybe a little bit slowly, and by getting investors, that way people aren't getting ripped off. Because we've already paid for all this technology once with our taxes over all these years. Right.
Yeah. I saw a few comments like that, too, as well. And that was, about this is technology that we've technically already paid for once, and this is the other thing. All of these guys, except for Hal. No, Hal was, too, at one point, were all on the government's payroll. So, what's really going on here? We need let's go back to the punk world that I was just talking about, right? They don't trust the man. You know what I mean? Well, you know what? You know what? Our community really doesn't trust the man, right? We do not. And so
with good reason.
Yeah, I feel that this is being pushed forward a little bit. But the question of somebody just posted pictures of me back in the day. I'm going to retweet this because the one picture, you've got to go look at this on Twitter, Deb. The one picture that is on the left where I'm wearing the flowered shorts, right? That's when I was in the foam decoys. That's our rehearsal room. Look at that rehearsal room. Look at that floor. That is dirty, nasty. And there you go. That's at the Hollywood and Western building in Hollywood, on Hollywood and Western. So anyway, trusting the man. So Tom is asking us to trust the man. And technically, coming from the world that he comes from, he shouldn't be trusting the man. So maybe he understands something that we don't. That's the only kind of take I can put on this. But we need to get some time behind us here. We need to let him...
Right. Give it a few months, see what comes out. Well, and I listened to the last time he was on your show, and he talked in depth about how there are things he just couldn't talk about right now. And I think that's still the case.
Well, and now, yes, and you're right about that. Now, so let me say this. His nervousness, which was very apparent, right? He was scared to death. You would think that a guy that is so accustomed to, playing in front of 20, 30,000 people, that he does, or more, or bigger crowds for that matter, for such a long time, that you don't have stage fright anymore. Well, I'm here to tell you, everybody gets nervous. And he was speaking there was nobody there. There was no audience there. It was an empty auditorium. And he was still nervous. So there you go. He is only human. Right? Okay. Right. Everybody talks about his money and the private jets and the success and this and okay, but he's still just a person and he's trying to do the best that he can. I don't know.
Under a lot of restrictions, probably.
Yep. And doing this as a public company, that's an interesting, fresh approach. And you know what? As with anything, like with the SETI program, people complain about SETI and that it's a front organization. There's those complaints. But my thing is this: what would you rather have? Nothing? Would you rather have them not doing the program? Well, then you know what we have. We have nothing. So,
hey, can I say one other thing on another topic, and then I'll make it brief because I know you've got calls waiting.
Yes.
On this whole Weinstein Hollywood thing that's unraveling like crazy.
Yes.
These bigwigs, it's like, well, if I go down, so do all of you. Well, hopefully a bunch of others will start to go down, bigwigs, and it will start to dovetail into the pedophilia thing, and it will start an onion peeling away all those layers. Maybe this is the beginning of exposing that.
Here in Hollywood, and when this kind of story breaks, and the power brokers that are here, and the rumors and the stories that are all over this town, they're sort of across the United States, but trust me, it's part of Hollywood. And to have this break like it is, and everybody, I mean, Rose McGowan coming forward, and I was watching all of these interviews and stuff today. I was squirming in my seat, and you look at Harvey, and you're listening to this, the fact that he was fired as quick as he was once everything surfaced, but then you just have to wonder, this was going on for a long time with him, and he was able to silence a lot of people, and he had a lot of juice. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. Now, is it going to influence all of this other stuff? Our kids and children and child actors are going to start to get involved in coming forward. I don't know if the two stories cross over. I think he was an out of control adult that was doing out of control adult things in a heterosexual sense with other adult women. And, and he was crossing lines that he shouldn't have crossed. And probably some of this was, or a lot of it was even criminal. But does it mean that it's going to expose other stuff? It depends. He would have to have done some really, really crazy stuff with I don't even like going there. I don't even like thinking those thoughts, because dark, it goes into a dark zone, and it starts to just take me into a place that I don't, I know it exists and I know it's real, but there are other, let me explain something to the audience really quick. You, in your life, you choose to do whatever you want to do because that's what you enjoy, right? Some people become sportscasters. Some people are veterinarians. Some people drive garbage trucks. Some people are teachers. Some are scientists. Some are whatever it is, right? Some are coroners. How would you like to have that gig? Or a mortician? How would you like to run a funeral home? Well, not everybody would do that, right? I don't know if I could go pick up bodies at a retirement home all day long for the county. Right? But there are people.
There are the people that euthanize animals all day at the shelter. How you can imagine doing that job? Forget it.
But somebody does it, right? So for me, I'm a show host that does the stuff that I enjoy doing. There are other hosts out there that want to go and talk about Pizzagate and investigate that and go down those roads and sex rings around the world with the Illuminati. Okay, if that's what you want to do, go do it and do the best job that you can. Me, that's not where I go. You know, it's just not. That's not where my heart lies. I would much rather talk about Tom DeLonge being a pop punk artist that is pushing forward the UFO agenda. That's what I do. You know, that's what I do.
Well,
anyway,
you go to the more positive side, and that's why you have such a huge audience, and it benefits all of us.
Well, thank you for that, Deb. And with that, have a great, safe weekend.
Thanks, Jimmy. You too.
Thank you so much. What a great phone call. That's what I'm talking about. Now, on hold. It's been there for a long time, too. And, Larry, I'm going to apologize. Larry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah, it's Larry Holcomb, everybody. Sorry to put you on hold for so long, Larry, but got a lot of calls and I'm jumping around here. But
no problem, buddy. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you, as always. But I got a little note here that you want to talk about Tom DeLonge.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I've been watching it. I watched the live streaming show. I watched it 2 or 3 times, and I was impressed by DeLonge's quality. He seemed to be very sincere in what he's doing, and I hope he is. I really do, because it could be a major step forward in disclosure. But I've got some concerns. In his discussion, or in the discussion of his the group of people that were there, which are notable people, no question. Yep. And I was very, very impressed with them. They said that they would release documents that had been declassified. Well, that didn't do a whole lot for me, because if they've been declassified, we can all get them, you know, and that didn't really ring any major bells with me. So that worried me a little bit. The other thing is that he had, 6 people there that were very, very notable people that I think should be highly respected and are highly respected. But the bottom line, Jimmy, is they are all operating under their security clearance, and they're not going to be able to step over the line. They can say a lot of things. They can push the outside of the envelope, but when it comes to what they may really know, they're not going to be able to say that. They're not going to be able to go into what they really know, and I understand that, and I think that may be the Achilles heel, unless what they're trying to do is push the envelope beyond the outer edges and start declassifying things that are still highly classified. I don't know. That's what worries me about this whole process. I'll wait to see. I'm I'm looking at it very carefully. I'm following it carefully. I think it's very interesting. But they're the two things that bother me a great deal about this DeLong issue.
Well, what do you make of if we take that, right, if we go with that angle right there, then let's go to the what if side. What if they are being allowed to speak about this? What if they are being allowed to push this forward? It takes the heat off of Washington, and now this is a public venture in the private world, right? Is that maybe what is actually going on here? Because we all know, I don't think you can go from running Skunk Works, our most top secret aviation design wing in the world, right? Everything comes out of Skunk Works. You can't go from running that and taking that knowledge that you have there, whether it is the alien agenda or backwards engineering stuff. Ben Rich's comments, we have the technology to take ET home, right? Well, holy crap. So can you go from the head of Skunk Works to something like this on a public stage, on a live stream, and say that you are going to start advancing alien technology? Unless you are being allowed to do that.
Well, if you're being allowed to do that, there's two ways that you can look at it. Either the government is using this as some step toward disclosure, or they're being used as disinformation officers, or I don't know. It's the whole thing is confusing to me right now, but it is extremely interesting. So, are they really being allowed to say things that have been highly classified, or are we dealing with another disinformation? And I hate to be so skeptical.
You have to be skeptical. You have to be skeptical. Larry.
Well, of course I am. You know I am.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be. Nobody here is jumping in feet first. In this community, we all know. We've all had our hearts broken too many times over the years with different things that have happened. Yeah, so we all understand that. But the other part is I will always be behind anybody, like I said, with SETI or Tom DeLonge or Stephen Greer, anybody that is out there trying to, Stephen Bassett, that is trying to push, Leslie Kane, trying to push this forward. We have to stand behind them. We can't stand in front of them and block them. Let it run its course. It's either going to work or it's not, right? But
Leslie Keane made a big impression on me in the article that she wrote in the Huffington Post, because she's not stupid, and she's pretty thorough in what she does. She's one of the best.
Yeah, she scares me. She scares me to death. She's great.
Oh yeah, she really is, and so. I don't know, but I have been following this with great interest, and I just wanted to bring those 2 points out to you because, again, I know that these people are operating still in a very classified area that's well compartmentalized. I don't think you can even talk amongst themselves, really, about what they do.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see. And I watch it with great interest and with great skepticism. So, anyway, that's all I wanted to call in and say to you.
What do you think, Larry, as we head into the break, and I want to thank you for taking the time to call in, do you think that it is going to be successful? Do you think it's the right path? Do you think it's the right way to approach this? We've tried everything else.
I think it could be. And I think that Tom DeLonge being up front with raising money, and there's no question about it, Jimmy, to do the type of research and to do what he wants to do is going to take a great deal of money. And he's right up front about he wants donations, he wants support, and what I want to see, I guess, is something concrete. Give me something concrete. Give me something other than declassified documents, something that I can get my teeth into, and I'll get behind the effort. But right now, I'm waiting for that piece of concrete.
The other part of this, though, and I want everybody to understand this. You said, you were just being honest, but you said donations, and that's the opposite. He is actually selling shares. So this is a public SEC filing. So everything is out there now. You know where the money is being spent privately.
Bad choice of words.
Yeah, exactly, Larry. I said you were just being honest. The thing is this: with a organization like MUFON, which is cool, and they've been pushing this forward for quite a long time, but MUFON's private, right? That money you don't know what you just don't know, but. Now, this, you being a shareholder, you can vote. There's going to be a full disclosure and audit every single year on everything and all the money and where it's going and how it's being spent. So that kind of accountability in the public is a good thing. We've never seen that approach before. So that is one of the things I raised an eyebrow. Well, if you're really going to do it this way. You're taking the mystery out of it.
I think you're right. I agree. I agree 100%.
Larry,
and if it looks good, I'll be a contributor.
There you go. You're going to be a shareholder. You're going to go for it.
Yep. If it looks right to me, yes, certainly I will. I've been in this too long, as you know, not to get involved in a project that I think is worthy.
Yeah, $200, right? Okay, that's a lot of money to some people, to a lot of people, to some. It's not enough for you to worry that if you lose it. Okay, all right. I've certainly gone to a bar and dropped $200 in an hour. I've been known to do that. So
I've had bar bills bigger than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, all right, let's let this thing happen and see where it goes. I wish the thing is, I would like to invest in it, but I can't, right? I can't. I got to be Mr. Objective guy, and if, the next time I have Tom on the air and if somebody digs in and finds out, that I've invested $200, they're going to say, oh, Church is doing this, he's pushing this agenda forward because he's bought stock in the company. So, maybe could I, Larry, let me ask you this. I'll ask the audience. What if I bought stock in my children's name? Would that be okay?
Sure.
I mean,
sure. I think absolutely.
I mean,
if you believe in it, I don't see anything wrong with you investing in it yourself. If you believe in it, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I just want to be able to vote. I want to be able to vote Tom down. Larry, you have a great, safe night, my friend, and it's always great to hear your voice.
Thanks for taking the call. You're a great guy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Larry. Larry Holcomb, everybody, the one, the only. And you can go to LarryHolcomb.com. His books are right there. The Presidents and UFOs. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More of your phone calls next. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Do you worry a lot? If you're forgetful, nervous, moody, or overwhelmed, chances are you're not protecting yourself from the ravaging effects of stress and anxiety. No matter the cause, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, your quality of life, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in as little as 1 to 2 weeks and increase your ability to recall facts, names, and numbers in 4 to 12 weeks. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll feel the difference. Call 1-800-758-8746 or go to calmandclever.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tuppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. If you're on hold, stay right there. I'll get to you. The numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. I had said earlier in the show that the mainstream media coverage just wasn't there on Tom DeLonge. I would have handled things a bit differently. But anyway, right after I said that, Rita sent me, I mentioned Rolling Stone. It did make it to Rolling Stone, so I jumped over to rollingstone.com and buried now, it was released yesterday, buried, 50, 60, 75 stories down. There it is. It isn't one of the headlines. I'm not sure where it was yesterday on Rolling Stone, but the article itself is minimal.
right? It's pretty strange to see that. I would have handled this a bit differently. And anybody out there in Tom's camp or Tom, if you're listening right now, just listen to that. I would have handled this a bit differently. I would have gone out on different radio shows. I would have done everything I could publicly to make this announcement of the announcement to get as many people there. I know that the video live stream was crashing and there was problems with that and people had issues, but I would have gotten 1 million people on that stream. That's what I would have done. And I would have had all of the mainstream media. Maybe they did contact everybody and nobody wanted to cover it. That's a possibility. I don't know. But it seemed like for such a major announcement yesterday that there wasn't any marketing or any push behind it. The day before HuffPost, the day before tweets are happening, it was the day before. There wasn't any fanfare behind it. And I think it's a very big deal. It's a really big deal. But there wasn't anything there. And I just don't get that. So that's just me, and it was at 9 a.m. in the morning. Perfect. That's a perfect time to do it. Don't do it at night when everybody else is watching TV or hanging out here on Fade to Black or over on Coast to Coast or doing their things at night. 9 a.m. in the morning. Perfect. Everybody's at work. Watch the live stream, right? Think about that. That's the way I would have handled it. It seemed like it was a little backwards, but the material and the approach and the idea behind it, all very, very, very strong. So with that, let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Can you hear me all right, Jimmy?
Yeah, who's calling?
This is Joe from Arkansas.
Hey, Joe from Arkansas. You do a radio show, Joe?
You dang right I do.
Yeah, you should.
But here, hey, everybody's talking about the aliens and Tom DeLonge, which, by the way, I think is a good thing because, technology's increased exponentially, but we forget that so has, and especially listeners of your show, so has our consciousness, right?
Right.
So this could be a great thing. Finally we're making a move. But the one thing that bothers me, though, is nobody's talking about is the asteroid that supposedly TC4 that flew by us that, Edgar Casey predicted that. And his predictions were spot on. He said that the government would worry about asteroids first and then aliens. So this thing was supposed to pass by us today, and I don't know if it did or not, but NASA's testing out their equipment on it. And then in 2022, they're actually going to test out their defense systems on it. So I didn't know if you knew anything about that.
Yeah, we talk about that quite often, and I think the flyby was last night.
Was it?
Yeah,
it was early this morning or last night?
It was last night. It was at 10:42 p.m. last night after the show, Pacific time. But you're right about that, and the closeness and the size of that asteroid. I don't. This is what was trippy about it. That thing was big, right? And had it struck Earth, it would have. Can you imagine what would have happened, right? But it was so close. It would, when you look at the animation of the orbit and where it was going to, it looks in the animation that it was going to strike Earth. Now, 30,000 miles away, 30,000. That's too close for me. That's just too close.
Yeah, right.
Anything could go wrong, right? Anything could go wrong. What if it just changed? What if the gravity of Earth and with all of their mathematics went wrong and we just sucked that thing off course, right? What if our moon affected it? I don't. That was a little bit too close for NASA to publicly say, you know what, we don't have anything to worry about. Don't trip.
Yeah.
You know what? When
just like Graham Hancock was on your show. I heard that show, and he was telling you about how many asteroids that Jupiter actually blocks from us, and it's just like chance that we don't get hit.
Yeah, no, they block all of them. They suck them all in.
Crazy.
Yeah, if Jupiter wasn't there, we would look like the moon. That's what we would look like. We would just be pummeled. I mean, seriously, we wouldn't be here right now, you and I. But when NASA says to me, "Don't worry, it's going to be okay. It's going to be close, but don't worry." That's when I worry. I worry just a little bit.
Don't worry about it, but we're going to test our defense systems on it. But just don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I get it.
And the other thing that I pretty much doubt is firing up, taking one of our MX missiles, right, and firing that into space and shooting off, firing off an atomic weapon to throw something off course. This is what I really trip on when it comes to space, and most people we've watched Star Wars way too much. There are no explosions, right? Space is a vacuum, right? So it's going to go and then suck back in on top of itself, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like you would have to have the most, like the direct hit. I don't even know if it would work. With the vacuum of space, when you have something expand out, even if it's a nuclear bomb, how much of that force is really applied, and there's certainly no after effects. Everything would get sucked back down on top of itself. I'm just guessing here. But that's the case. There's no sound in space. There's no explosion. There's nothing burning. There's no oxygen. So you know what I mean? When you watch Star Wars and you see something blow up, well, no, it can't. Right? There's no oxygen. There's no fire. There might be an instant flash, but it gets sucked back in on top of itself. So I would need an astrophysicist. I need some kind of physicist to come on to this show and explain to me the principle of an explosion in space. Do you really
you should get Thomas Campbell on your show, the guy that helped develop HemiSync?
Yeah, Tom's cool.
Yeah,
Tom's strong.
But you were right about Tom DeLonge, though, man. I just watched that video again, and that dude was sweating, man. His veins were popping out of his neck.
He was a bit nervous, and it's funny because you take a musician out of his element, right? Like if he's going out on stage in front of 20,000 people, and you're all pumped up and your adrenaline's going and you can't wait to get out there and do the show. I get that. One of the hardest things to do as a musician is play in front of 10 people, play in front of an empty bar. That's a tough crowd. That's really tough to do. And then take it to the next level, man. For Tom, it's not a rock and roll show. This is a high, he's got the CIA sitting in back of him, right? And he's out there in front of an empty room. That's tough. That's really, really tough. He was sweating bullets. When he went up, Joe, I don't know if you noticed, but when he got up there, like the third time that he spoke, his shirt was now coming out of his pants. He was looking a little disheveled. He was, sweating, and he was just not comfortable. If he would have been wearing...
I've never seen that dude like that, ever.
No, he is not camera shy. He is not, he is... And if he would have been out there in one of his, Dead Kennedy shirt, and a pair of, shorts and wearing some Vans, I think he would have got through it. He would have got through it. So there you go. So what's your radio show? What do you do?
Oh, I do a show called Lighting the Void. We air it on the Fringe FM, and Dave Cruz. He's a fan of yours too. He's on there as well.
Oh, right on. How's Dave doing these days?
Man, Dave is Dave. We love him. He's like my brother now, but Dave is doing great. He's actually stuck in the fires over there right now, so he's on standby. Doesn't know if he's going to evacuate or not, but they've been over there just waiting to be told whether they need to leave or not. Those fires are a little fishy to me too, but
right. Well, Joe, all the best to you. And if you talk to Dave, man, tell him our thoughts are with him. And I haven't talked to him in a while, but I just these fires are no joke, man. And this state right now is really being tested.
All right, right on, man. Love your show. Keep doing what you do, man.
Thank you, Joe. And there you go. So Fringe FM, everybody, right there. And I don't think that this community, You're never going to get everybody on the same page, no matter what. No, it just does not matter. Trying to get everybody together and agree and think that everything is a good idea, it's tough, man. And with everybody that has attempted something like this in the past, trying to push disclosure forward, trying to get government insiders together, trying to get all of that to happen is tough. And it's been tried many, many, many times. Not only MUFON, but there's NICAP and if you think about and others, there are so many UFO organizations across this country, and those that have tried to pull whistleblowers forward. Plenty of guests on the show on this, and it's really, really, really hard. Tom's approach on this side is not having whistleblowers, but to have people in his employ on a public company. So that's a whole different take. So we'll see. All right, with that, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello, Mr. Jimmy Church.
How are you, Steve?
Doing fine, brother.
I'm doing fine, too. Thank you for asking.
Jimmy.
Yes, Steve.
Do you really honestly believe that there was just one shooter?
You know what, Steve? You want me to tell you what I really think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that
I wouldn't expect anything else.
We are not being told the truth, the whole story. None of it. None of it has been true from the word go. I remember when all of this was going down, right, and we were watching live, I can't remember where we heard this, but it was a live telephone call as the shooting is going on. And this guy said, man, there's shots coming from the Bellagio, too. There's a shooter in the Bellagio, right? Now, this was live on the air. Not a mention about that, and it just makes you wonder. I don't know. I know this. That everything that we have been told from the beginning, now that we know that the timelines are off, that the security guard wasn't telling the truth, he lied, and they went every press conference, everything that has been brought forward to us now as fact has not been true. They just told us that today, right? So, what do we make of that? What do you make of it? Oh man. I have no idea where this is going.
There's several things that bother me pretty bad about it, Jimmy, is that, what was it? How many was killed? 52 or
58? It was 59. 58. Now they've changed it to 58.
Well, that's another thing. First of all, how do you not get your numbers right from the get-go of how many people that were shot? But are they going to do some kind of scene recreation, to better understand, these shots and where, people were laying? And if they don't do some kind of recreation, to me, that's a dead giveaway that they're hiding something.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. And I'll tell you something else that I cannot believe that nobody is questioning those leaked photographs. Nobody in the mainstream media, nobody in the alternative media, nobody is asking the questions that need to be asked there. Who leaked the photographs? They know. Either they were done intentionally or they were not. And if they were not, they know who leaked it. I want to know who it was. I want to see their face. I want to know if they've been fired. I want to know if they're in jail. I want to know if they were working for the FBI, the ATF, or the Las Vegas Police Department. I want to know about that chink in the armor. Or if it was done on purpose, I want to know that too. I want to know. And you would think that somebody out there, a really good investigative journalist, would find out if they were leaked on purpose. You know how you find out if they're leaked on purpose? That somebody didn't lose their job. Somebody isn't on suspension without pay. Somebody's not in jail right now. Right? That
Right?
I'm just saying they were leaked on purpose then, weren't they? So why did you do it? Nobody is asking these fundamental questions. In a case like this, that should be, Steve, should be open and shut. Open and shut case. Open and shut. Single shooter, right? You know his life. You know his family. You know his mom. You know his brother. You know his girlfriend. You've got all his locations. You've got his computers. You've got his cell phones. You've got the hotel room. You've got fingerprints and notes, and you got a body. You've got videotape. You've got everything. This is an open and shut case. Tell us how it went down. And they haven't been able to do that. So for us to sit back and go, okay, all right, you know what? Something funky is going on here. It's them that are making us ask these questions instead of just being straight with us from the beginning. They're not out there chasing a second shooter, right? He didn't get away. He didn't get away. You've got the guy that did it. You're telling us it was one shooter. So lay it out there for us. They're acting like they're Barney Fife, tripping over each other, and they don't know what they're doing. That's the way I feel.
Well, who has to gain, Jimmy? Who has to gain in this? You know, because if it was done by some government agency, what is it to gain? What's their motive? Why did they do it?
Yep. And you can come up with 20 or 30 pretty safe motives there. You know, like I said, pushing the war on terror. There's that. There's gun control. Certainly, everybody's going to bring up that. There's that issue. You know, it could be any number. You know, when I talk about MK Ultra and the fact that it could be something similar to that, because you have a guy that apparently didn't have a motive, right? So, was there a trigger situation? You know, where he was triggered and he was mentally taken over, and he just went up and did this, and he didn't even know what he was doing. Is there that? Any scenario can be put on the table here. You know, was he supposed to?
I believe something absolutely had to be like that because, you know, Jimmy, this guy, no way, shape, or form fits the profile of a terrorist or someone that would even, you know, I'm not saying that we all know, you know, who's going to drop off the wagon, you know, because you have to have some really, truly mental issues to do what, you know, if he was, you know, to do that, to do it, you know, to just shoot out a window and start blasting people at a concert.
Yeah, and
you've got some issues.
And for his brother to publicly go, he was just a guy. He was just a guy. Right. Now, if his brother is telling the truth, and he was just a guy, and his girlfriend is, you know, saying, you know, I didn't know, everything was normal. If that is the case, then what is going on? What motivates somebody to do this? They have, as you know, Steve, they have all of his history now. Right? Now they have his computers. Now they have his cell phones. If he had a car, they've got his GPS. They know where he's been driving. You know, they have everything, all his email, you know, and they haven't said one thing. They haven't said one thing. Did they really not find anything? Not a single thing, nothing in social media, no email, no encrypted messages overseas. I don't know. But really, honestly, right. Nothing?
I'm so interested in not his history. I'm interested in the history of the guns that were supposedly used.
Yep, and that's the other that's
the history I'm interested in.
Yep.
You know, where did all of the when they showed that one picture of the room, you know, there was, I don't know, like 15 guns in that one picture.
Yep. Stacked up, those two chairs that were pushed together looked like a bathtub, right? You know, and yeah.
And how many of those guns were fired? You know, how many of those guns actually, you know, killed someone?
Yep.
I mean, that's not hard to figure out. You know, all they got to do is, you know, get the ballistics, shoot the guns, match them up with, the 59 or 58, dead individuals. So it's going to be hard to do a ballistic and find out which weapons, killed who.
There's one other thing that I find fascinating. Why haven't the police stepped up to the microphone and said 1,242 shots were fired? We counted them all. Right. We've got 1,100 shell casings. We got some outside of the building. We got some that fell out the window. We got the rest of them from the hotel room. He shot 4 different weapons. They've got to know these things. And why would it matter? Because he's dead. There is no court case, right? There's nothing like this.
That's right.
You're not withholding evidence for an investigation. Give us what you know. For them not to say specifically. Why? Because there was other shots that were fired from another location? Is there that? Check this out, Steve. And this is where my mind goes a little bit dark. But hear me out. If you count the amount of shots that were fired on videotape and you account for that, and say the number is, I don't know, I'm going to pull a number, 1,000 rounds, right? But they've only found 200 shell casings in his room. Now we got a problem, don't we?
That's right. The math don't add up.
So now, if it's cut and dried and it's one shooter in one hotel room, give us the facts. Show me the show me the boxes of shell casings. Right? Here's this, and this matches the count. We've gone over the grounds outside of the hotel. We've gotten all the shell casings that we can. Here they are. It all came from one room. Or is something not adding up here? Maybe what if?
Also, Jimmy,
but check this out, Steve. And I'm being serious. What if they found out that not only the shell casings, but maybe they've got 2 100-round clips that were emptied, but the rest of them were full.
Tell me. I want to know about the other weapons if they were fired.
Yeah, tell me what is going on, and they are not. And until they do, we're going to continue to ask these questions, and they're the tough questions. They're the tough questions, but nobody wants to get these answers, and it's bugging me.
And when you hear the gunshots, Jimmy, it's not extremely rapid fire. If he was using these guns that had had the bump stock on them, which I have 2 ARs and one of them has a bump stock on it. It is like shooting the gun on at fully auto. It is as fast as it can get without it being fully auto, and you will melt a barrel down if you mow through. You can get through one clip, but if you just straight up throw another clip in, especially if it's a 100-round clip,
right?
You might get halfway through that second clip, and that barrel is cherry red by then.
Yep.
It just,
I can believe it.
It don't make sense to me.
No, and see, and you know what you're talking about.
Wrong.
Yeah, you know what you're talking about. For me, I'm just imagining this kind of stuff because I've never fired a 100-round clip off on full auto. I wouldn't mind doing that one day. That sounds like a lot of fun. But I've never done it, so I don't know how hot a barrel can get. But my imagination says that's, you start, throwing, that kind of ammo through a barrel, it's going to get red hot. It's going to start to distort. It's going to jam up. It's not going to be able to fire anymore.
That's right.
And as it cools down, it's going to be different again, and it's not going to be the same. That's me. That's just what I'm thinking. All the buildup of the gases and the carbon, and you'd have to clean the gun. I'm just thinking that that's the way that things would work in that world. I don't know. So how was he able to do that? So was he throwing a gun down, grabbing another one, right? Throwing it down until, it was done and firing another one. It's a simple question for the police to answer. It's a simple question. He fired off 1,000 rounds, 100 rounds per gun. There was 10 guns fired. Here's the shell casings. And this is what we've got. We've got a single shooter, and it all went down in one place. Simple, right? Open and shut case.
That's right.
Hey, Steve, thank you so much, my friend. I got to get out of here for a commercial break.
Jimmy, as always, brother, thanks for the time.
You're more than welcome. That's Steve from Bluefield, everybody. And it's pretty cool. He says he's got 2 ARs, one with a bump stock. That's what I'm talking about. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. If you're on hold, stay right there. I'll get to you. Open lines all night long. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. More of your phone calls next.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
I'm Matt Ray with America's First News. We all know if you're planning a trip, you should shop and compare, right? But why endlessly search the web when you don't have to? Flight Services helps you find the lowest possible airfare. Talk directly to a travel pro right now for the best deals available. Their travel pros have additional discounts not found on websites, and Flight Services provides 24-hour customer service. Call toll-free 844-845-9944. That's 844-845-9944.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thursday night, Fadernight. That's right, I'm in the chair, taking your phone calls all night long. The numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. All right, man, everything has been talked about tonight. Tom DeLonge and the Vegas shooter, and oh, man. And so with that, let's just keep this thing going. I want to talk to Reverend Jon Polk. Jon Polk, you there?
I am. Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. And are you guys getting ready for the big expo?
Yeah, we are. I've been there the last 3 days, not including today, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I've been with Javi, shoveling rocks, helping to build this stage. He's making this incredible stage. You know, there's this guy out there with an acetylene torch, MIG-TIG welding, I'm not sure which one it was, literally building this 30-something foot stage. Javi has dumped a ton of money into it, and I'm real excited about it. Cortana made me a really good PowerPoint presentation. I was incredibly pleased and proud of her. And, Mary Rodwell is going to be the keynote speaker. We have a great lineup, and I know John D'Souza was on the show earlier tonight. I've been rehearsing my PowerPoint to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't want to rehearse anymore. I'm getting to the point where I've hit subliminal saturation, and you know how you can study too much and then start to forget things. So I got to that point, I'm like, I've got to tap into Jimmy's show, hear what's going on.
So has everybody started to arrive? Is Mary there? And man, you guys got Len Kasten's going to be there. D'Souza's going to be there. And so many others. Brad Olson. So who's arrived?
I believe pretty much everybody's arrived. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe that the majority of the speakers have arrived already today.
Any Fadernauts running around?
Well, Cortana, she's the administrator for the whole thing. So, yeah, definitely. And myself. And then, John D'Souza, Brad Olson. I'm sure you probably interviewed Barbara Jean Lindsay at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Sherry Wild is going to be there. A couple names you may not know. Shekinah Rose. You ever heard of Shekinah Rose?
No, I have not.
Beautiful lady, but she does a healer using the frequency of 528 hertz.
Okay.
And there's this lost frequency that was used by Gregorian monks back in the day. And once the Pope realized that it had healing properties, he banned the chants. He just banned the chants because they were healing people. He didn't want people to be healed through chanting.
Right.
But anyway, she has resurrected this lost art form. And she does this swan song, all these, very, very provocative body movements when she does her healing, and you can feel it. And I was at the conference, Tolex conference, a couple weeks ago, and she was doing it there. And maybe 1/3 of the people start crying. She's incredibly powerful. It's really fascinating to watch. And then another lady that you may or may not know, her name is Suzanne Ross. She owns Supernatural Sedona, along with Shekinah Rose, and she's a film producer. And story behind her, it's interesting. She went to a crystal shop down the street from where I live now in Sedona, and her friend went in for a psychic reading, and she was going to go get a book. And so she's walking around in the book section, and down by her feet, this book popped out of the shelf. And it turned out to be my Yahweh book. And she read the book, and she got in touch with me and made me part of this video series along with J.J. Hurtak. And Brad Olson was part of it also. And she thought she'd gotten all the speakers that she wanted. And she's read my book and added me to the mix. So I was completely flattered about that. Let's see, Clifford Mahooty is going to be there.
Oh, that's
I've
right.
interviewed him before.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he lives somewhere around here, not far from where I live. Ray Hernandez with Dr. Edgar Mitchell's Free. He's going to be there.
Hector Camacho. Yeah, Victor Camacho. I almost said Hector Camacho. Victor Camacho.
Yeah, the boxer.
Yeah, the boxer. Yeah, I teased him about that a lot. But he is one cool cat. He is one cool cat, man. And just get information out of him. That he and I hope he's bringing some of his artifacts with him, and just check all of those out. But he is one cool dude, very smart, very bright, and he's out there doing it. You know, he gets dirty. He's out there in the jungle with the machete, you know, finding locations, and he's really, I mean, seriously, he's not one of those armchair dudes. He's out there getting it done. Very, 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 very cool guy. I have a bunch of his stuff here in the bunker, man, and I couldn't help myself. Rita and I raided him, and we got away with a bunch of stuff. Some of it it was a little scratched and dented, but you know, I pried it away from his hands, and you know, I ended up getting some of it here in the bunker. But very cool dude. So, what time do things kick off tomorrow?
9 a.m. we're going to have experiencers groups, and I believe that Barbara Jean Lindsay is going to be orchestrating that whole thing. And then the speakers will start at 10 in the morning, and it will go on into the evening, I believe, until around 8:30. I believe that, where is the schedule? Anyway,
yeah, that's
it's a
cool.
great lineup, and I'm incredibly excited about it. I'm speaking twice, and I'm an MC also, along with Suzanne Ross. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, have a good time. Post pictures. We want to see them. And, you know, I'll keep my eye on social media over the weekend. And again, I do want to announce any of the Fadernauts that would like to go, the first 10 that arrive tomorrow morning get full passes for the weekend. Okay, so go down to the Awareness Life Expo. The websites are there. It's all up on social media. We have it up in Twitter. And so go and have a good time there in Cottonwood, Arizona tomorrow. All right, John, thank you so much, my friend. And you guys really, really have a blast this weekend, and send us some pictures.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you, John.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Yeah, it's all going down in Cottonwood this weekend. And, I mean, how cool is that? Clifford Mahooty, right? Victor Camacho, Brad Olson, John D'Souza, Sherry Wild, Mary Rodwell. It just doesn't get better than that. So go and hang out. And like I said, the first 10 Fadernauts that arrive tomorrow, just drop my name at the door. You know what? That may get you in, but if you say Rita, then you get the full treatment. Okay, so everybody go and check it out. We've got, let me see here. Do we have, there's D'Souza here. Okay, I'll retweet that. And I'm looking for, and Rita, go ahead and hit me with the Awareness Life Expo banner, and I will post that up too as well. I'll get that retweeted. All right. What time is it? Man, I'm running out of time. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. If you're on hold, stay right there. But I did want to get to this. All right. Yesterday, with the Tom DeLonge announcement yesterday, he talked about this incident that happened with the Nimitz aircraft carrier off the coast of San Diego in 2012. Well, this is what actually happened. I'm going to take the pilot's name out of this because I've reached out to him and I haven't gotten anything official back. Even though it's out there, you have to search for it. But just out of respect. Also, I don't want anybody else to go and contact this guy. You know, so let's leave that on the down low. But on the morning of the 14th of November, 2004, the pilot, I'll just call him Dave, and his wingman launched into the clear blue California sky at about 100 miles southwest of San Diego. Their call sign was Fast Eagle 01. His wingman and WSO launched just after that, and were called Fast Eagle 02. They climbed overhead the ship and rendezvoused in normal fashion before setting off to their assigned work area in the open ocean south of the USS Nimitz. Normal day, normal ops, everything was running smoothly. The Nimitz carrier strike group had been on station for a few weeks already, working to integrate the operations. They put on a new deck on the boat and done some other stuff. What Dave didn't know was for the past several days, the Princeton, which was a destroyer, had been picking up bizarre returns on their Death Star-worthy Spy 1 radar. On several occasions, beginning on the 10th of November, the fire control officer and the extremely experienced fire control senior chief had detected multiple returns descending from about 80,000 feet. The targets, dubbed anomalous aerial vehicles, AAVs, would drop from 80,000 feet to hover roughly 50 feet off of the water surface in a matter of seconds. Always over the same spot. A latitude-longitude of about 30 miles north off the coast of Baja, roughly 70 miles north-southwest of Tijuana. At the time, the Spy 1 was the most sophisticated and powerful tactical radar on the planet. With it, they were able to track these AAVs while they descended, hovered, and then zipped away at speeds, turn rates, and accelerations faster than any friendly or threat aircraft. Now, they call it, the Navy here, impossibly fast. Once the Air Wing's planes arrived aboard the Nimitz, the fire control team on the Princeton saw an opportunity to use those assets and eyeballs to help solve the AAV mystery. At the same time Fast Eagle Flight was wrapping up its scheduled training, the CEO of Marine Hornet Squadron VMFA 232, Lieutenant Colonel, I'm not going to say his name, was completing a post-maintenance check flight not too far away. He was the first fast mover contacted by the Princeton. The communication was strange and intriguing. He was asked to investigate an unidentified airborne contact. This wasn't a terribly unusual request while a strike group was in transit or deployed far from waters, but it was a little more than strange, practically in sight of the San Diego home port. Now, they asked him if he saw anything. At that time, he said none. They asked him if he had any ordnance on board, and he said none. Now, that's pretty strange to ask a plane if they were armed. While Princeton was communicating with, I'm not going to say his name, they were also attempting to head off their AAV contact with the Air Wing's E-2C Hawkeye, the radar plane, right, with the big disc on the top. The crew from VAW 117 had been providing intercept control for Fast Eagle Flight during their training. Princeton now wanted the E-2 to guide the Super Hornets to an intercept with the AAV contact, currently hovering over their favorite spot, but now about 20,000 feet over the ocean. The AAV returns had not been strong enough to show up on the E-2's broad sweep. But once they focused their radar on the coordinates the Princeton directed them towards, they managed contact. The radar returns from the contact weren't enough to generate a target track, however, so Princeton cut the E-2 from control and contacted Fast Eagle directly. All right? Though he was unable to lock up on the AAVs, the E-2 controller remained on frequency and listened to the entire ensuing evolution. Now, as another unnamed pilot approached the spot where he was vectored, Princeton advised him to stay above 10,000 feet as the section of the Super Hornets were approaching the target. His radar picked up the Fast Eagle 2 ship, but no other contacts. A moment later, Princeton directed him to skip it and return to the ship. Since he was so close, he decided to fly over the action and take a sneak peek. The sea was calm, almost glassy smooth, and as it was late morning on a beautiful day, perfect conditions. As the pilot, who I'm not going to name, flew over the spot, he saw a disturbance on the surface of the ocean, a round section of turbulent water about 50 to 100 meters in diameter. It was the only area and type of what he called white water, describing that it looked as if there was something below the surface, like a shoal or what he had heard a ship sinking rapidly would look like. Now, he overflew the disturbance and circled back to the direction of the Nimitz without ever seeing what caused the water to froth. As he turned away, which happened to be the moment the Super Hornets converged on the location, the white water cleared and the ocean surface returned to its smooth state. The spot of the previous disturbance was completely indiscernible. A few thousand feet below him, the first pilot had gone through a similar surreal experience of being asked by the Princeton if Fast Eagle jets were carrying any ordnance. The pilots, baffled WSO, reported that they all had and were 2 captive carry training missiles. They were given bearing and range vectors to set of coordinates and told to investigate an unknown aerial contact over that spot. With no other information on the contact, they descended to the low 20s and scanned with radar, picking nothing up. Neither plane in this flight was carrying a FLIR pod, which limited them to the type of sensors they could search with. But both planes were brand new, and they still had that new car smell. The APG-73 radars were both new and had performed perfectly on all training missions. Now, the Princeton called merge plot. All 4 aircrew were eyes out from this point forward. The first unusual indication Dave picked up, right, was the area of the white water on the surface that the previous pilot was looking over his shoulder as he flew away. He remembers thinking it was about the size of a 737, and maybe the contact they had been vectored on had been an airliner that had just crashed. He maneuvered his F-18 lower to get a closer look. As he was descending through about 20,000 feet, he was startled by the sight of a white object that was moving about just over the frothing water. It was all white, featureless, oblong, and making minor lateral movements while staying at a consistent low altitude over the disk of turbulent water. Dave put Fast Eagle 02 into a high cover passing, cutting through about 15,000 feet. And the WSO witnessed the events from a perfect vantage point. Dave continued his dive lower towards the object, now attempting to slave the radar through his HMCS to achieve a short-range lock. No luck. His intention was to pass the object close aboard at about 350 knots. But as he got closer, he noticed that the AAV had oriented one of its shiny, skinny ends towards him, as if, in his words, and I'm quoting here, it had just noticed us, and it was now pointing at them. Now, I'm going to post really quick. I'm going to post a picture of the object. And the thing is this. This is from the official Navy photographs that were taken that day, the video. Okay? Now, take a look at this. This was presented yesterday at the Tom, I'm looking at, oh, this is what it's called, at Tom DeLonge's live stream. Here it is here. Now, remember, I'm doing this and doing a show at the same time. There it is. This is from the Navy photograph. This is it hovering above the water. This is from an F-18 filming down. Okay? Now, let me continue, and it gets way more interesting, okay? So, he put it into this dive, 15,000 feet, right? The AAV then began to rise from its hover. The object, which he would later describe as a white tic-tac, rose in right two-circle flow about a mile cross-circle from Dave's Hornet. BFM instincts, and you know what BFM means, I'm a BFM, instincts took over, and Dave dug nose low to cut across the bottom of the circle. As he was looking at the AAV and pulling his nose up to bear, then tried again to slave his radar via the HMCS. Again, the APG-73 was unable to lock on the white fighter-sized flying object, now just a couple of thousand feet away and closing. All of these maneuvers, Dave's WSO was broadcasting the real-time events of the intercept to the Princeton. The radar operators in the E2 listen on a secure net to what sounded like one of those hundreds of intercepts they had heard over the years, with the notable exception that the air crew's voices were more stressed and the verbiage to ID the target was unlike anything anybody had heard before. In his brief debrief comments, Dave, his WSO, and the other two crews stated that the object had initially been hovering like a Harrier. They described it as uniformly white, about 46 feet long, roughly fighter size, having a discernible midline horizontal axis like a fuselage, but had no visible windows, no wings, or propulsion systems. As Dave was pulling for nose-on and trying to get a dogfight lock with his radar, the AAV tightened its turn, lift vector on, then aft, as Dave described, passing behind his tail and accelerated away at multi-Mach speed. Dave immediately queried the Princeton for a snap vector, but the Spy 1 radar had lost all contact. The first calls from the Princeton were picture clean. A few moments later, Princeton came back with, "You're not going to believe this. It's at your cap." Princeton had picked up the AAV hovering at 24,000 feet at the assigned latitude-longitude Dave had used earlier during training as his orbiting point. Though low on gas, Flight Eagle Flight swung through the cap position trying to pick up the AAV again. They saw nothing more on their way back to the Nimitz. Even the 100-meter circle of turbulent ocean water had disappeared. That spot was now indistinguishable from the rest of the sea surface. Asked later, Dave reported that he had not seen anything on or below the surface of the ocean that may have caused the turbulent circle of water. It had existed when they had first visually acquired the Tic Tac, then was gone as they circled back a few minutes later. Back on the Nimitz after recovery, after they landed on the flight deck, the four crew headed down to the paraloft to remove their gear. The next four crews from VFA 41 were getting dressed for their training mission to the same area, using the same assigned lat longitude points as cap points. Dave and his crew members passed on what they had seen to the new guys and reminded them to get tape of it if they could. By the time the new crew launched, they rendezvoused and checked in with the E-2 for control. It was early afternoon. The plane separated, with one heading to the same southern cap location. They were cruising along at 20,000 to 30,000 feet, 20,000 feet and 300 knots, max endurance. Again, the jet radar and also this time the FLIR were spanking new and operating perfectly. The WSO first picked up contact on the radar around 30 miles away while it was operating in the RWS scan mode. He checked the coordinates and was indeed hovering at their precise cap point. He attempted several STT locks to no avail. Later in the debrief, he explained that he had multiple telltale cues of EA. The target aspect of the track file was turning at 360 degrees along with some other distinct jamming indications. In the less precise scan mode, the return indicated that the object was, in the WSO's words, a few thousand feet below us, around 15 to 20,000 feet, but hovering stationary. The WSO reported to the FLIR pod on board, slaving it to the weak track, and the RWS mode had been able to generate it. So, he recorded the following sequence on the onboard video recorder. Using the IR mode, he was able to lock onto the AAV. It showed up on his screen and on tape as a white object in a black background hovering with no means. The IR camera, okay, I've got to run. I am going to follow up. I've got pages and pages of the reports. Now, the person that wrote this report was best friends with Dave, the pilot. This is all firsthand, and also all of the other pilots' names are here. I've reached out to everybody involved. Yes, I have gotten responses back, and I've told them we don't have to name names. We don't have to do any of that. But I do invite you on the air. Okay, so I've gotten another response back and more about all of this on Monday. With that, I got to get out of here. Man, I'm running late. I did it again, 30 seconds late, And so I'm late going off on the network. But that's the way it is because it's Thursday night. This is a heck of a story. And this is one that just isn't out there in UFO circles. Tom DeLonge found it. They talked about it. I'm taking it to the next level. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you to everybody that called in tonight. Great conversations. Thank you, Jon Rappoport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Culver, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale, Webmaster Drew the Geek, music Doug Aldrich, intro Spaceboy, SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll see everybody on Monday. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.